So, good evening, guys. It's good to have you back on a masterclass especially on a Friday. I've never done one on a Friday before, so first for me as well. In terms of tonight's masterclass, it's how to ace your football trial. So, for any of you, obviously, I know people have different um, you're in different parts of the season. For everyone here is on the call. Some of you might be mid-season. Some of you might be end of season. We could be pre-season or going into the beginning of the season. I think we all know deep down if we aspire to progress higher up the football pyramid within your own countries or to travel abroad, it's a very important subject. What a lot of people, um, I'd say, forget about. So if they all just think about, coming onto the trial and um, you know, just looking at it in terms of, right, I've got a trial, that's it. I just need to turn up now. When what a lot of people have to realize is a process to this. So tonight we'll just go through some of that. For you guys who don't know me, I'm the academy director at Next Generation Pro Football Academy and the college director at Chelsea Football Club. And I'm also the first team coach at Cheshire United, who you guys have never heard of before, but they're a national south team in the football pyramid, so it's a semi-professional club. And in terms of um, previous like coaching history and stuff, I've worked at multiple different age groups from first team all the way down to under 13s, 14s is my lowest. But that's at clubs like Brentford, Crystal Palace, FC Wimbledon. I've done like a complete range of different age groups. But on the side of that as well, I've also done some consultancy sports science work with clubs like Manchester City, Man United, QPR, and Blackburn. I've actually been actually a few more on there as well, but not on there. But in terms of that, that's more sports science support for their first team and under 21s. So that I've done that over the years as well. So just touching on what I said a second ago, really, the main objective of this evening is to basically know the importance of the preparation going into these trials and the mindset you should have going into these trials as well, but also to understand the competitive nature of trials. So I think we all know some of these trials they might be looking for one or two players. Some trials they might be looking for a complete new team. It depends on the standard. It might depend on what position they're looking for. So from this presentation, we just want you to come away with what it looks like before the trial, what it looked like in the trial, and what it looked like after the trial. Um, in terms of what scouts are looking for, as again, you could be going to a trial day where you've got it could be a showcase game where it's complete different scouts from complete different clubs across different levels as well. Some might be looking for academy players, some might be looking for first team players. I think that's also going to depend on the age you are as well. So they're all going to be looking for certain stuff within like different positions based on their own playing style and philosophy. Now, you notice sometimes I've seen it in like showcase games myself. I even do showcase games part of Next Gen in Chelsea, and you know a lot of these players, especially for the Next Gen one, they ask what um what are these clubs looking for, and it's actually like a massive question because you don't actually know exactly even myself what those scouts are looking for. So the things and the range of attributes which are you know the main ones they'll look for in terms of the technical skills, the tactical awareness, the type of like conditioning, physical fitness you're currently at, um, your mental attributes towards how you sort of approach the trial, but also the teamwork you put into the trial. They'll be judging on so many different factors, but they will be judging on all these factors, but they will be broken down into position specific. But there's no template in terms of for a generic template of what every scout will look for because that what that scout is going to be looking for is going to look different in every different pro club, and it's going to look different in terms of the age groups as well to what they're looking for in each position. But as an overall, if you focus on these, like say, technical attributes in terms of your ball control, so good first touch, making sure you're now mixing it in with the tactical side when you're dribbling, just make sure you know when to dribble, no, not when to dribble. So your decision making's got to be good. Make sure, along with your first touch, you got crisp passing, and sometimes it's actually doing the basics right and actually doing the basics quick. So that's where the physical side comes in. So it comes under with the speed, and just making sure on the tactical side, your positioning, keep to what you know the positioning, and mainly what the coaches say. So some coaches in the showcase game, if they've told you to do a specific job, keep to that tactical role and responsibility with what they've given you. And the other thing is, in terms of the mental traits and teamwork, it's always good to have confidence about yourself, not cockiness, but confidence within yourself, within your aura, but also confidence within your performance. And you've got to learn to be adaptable, whether it's adaptable to the tactical side. You might have to play out of position for a certain period of time, or you might play the position you want to play, but you might play it in a different style. So you might originally be a fullback, and your strengths are defensively, but they might be telling you, do you know what? You're going to be a wing back today in the position you're in, but you're going to play it as a wing back, and you've got to focus more on the attacking side, but still be very strong on your defending side. So just make sure you be adaptable to it. The teamwork side is is something they will look for, and especially in trials, it can be hard, but as long as you've got clear communication with the people around you, especially the people at the side of you, behind you, in front of you, in terms of when you're playing, knowing their names, know something about them, know their strong foot. To do that, you need to communicate and ask them. You're going to have more of a chance to, you know, put them to their strengths, but also it's going to make you look good because you've won if they especially see you communicate that. But another thing is, it, you know, that's you're more likely to get a successful pass doing it to their correct foot and rather than their weaker foot. It's just details, just little details you need to register on board. But you know, as I said, there's no overall template which I can actually give you, which every scout will look for. But every scout will be looking and judging per position in all these factors of all these areas. My advice, guys, is to either take a picture of this and write it down, or write it down. Sorry. So, before the trial, so whether it's you booked onto your trial, you know it's in a week, 2 weeks, whatever it might be scouted. But the things you need to sort of prep yourself in terms of before you go into the trial, you need to look into your training. Try and do a lot of individual development training amongst yourself. Try and get a friend involved or a couple of friends involved. Tell them what you're going for, how they can help you. You might be able to help them in return. So, going to the park, doing specific practices to work on your passing, work on your shooting, dribbling, tackling, whatever it might be. Working on your strengths, but still working on your improvements. One thing I do like about that stuff in individual training, there you can get a lot out of it, but the one thing, this is something I try and get into my own players, is how do you create a friendship group, if possible, to actually practice small sided games in your own time, to practice decision making. And it can actually be very easy. Everyone thinks, oh, Lee, you've got to have 12 players, got to have 12 friends who are on the same wavelength for me to do that. You don't. You can do stuff even in 2v2s, 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s. Like, um, if you could do like 6v6, amazing. But the likelihood of that is hard. But are you in a position, if you can get the bigger small sided games, and brilliant. But can you set up different small sided games to just improve your decision making in the lead up to the trial? Another thing as well, I think this is an important thing, and I think in this day and age, a lot stronger than when I was back playing, where now you've got like the likes of more TV coverage, especially across different countries. You've got YouTube, that type of stuff, even the Train Effective app and the tactical side, how you can use a Train Effective app, how you can actually look at current trends, especially within your position. So that will actually make you more adaptable, and then you can look at a variety of more players to analyze before you go into this trial. So I just feel them type of training tips before you go in will actually help you. Um, the other thing on training tips as well, if you're like a striker, for example, I'm just seeing on the shooting bit. Um, I've done a lot of IDPs for a lot recently for Train Effective, and there's a couple of players for the IDPs who are wingers and strikers. And one thing where their games on a Saturday, I predominantly do them a lot of shooting on the Friday, but a shooting where I don't pick the practice, and it's not actually a practice from the Train Effective app because they've been doing them throughout the week or the month. It's actually um, their favorite one. They create their own session to which they think will provide them the best opportunity the day before the game. You can do exactly the same before a trial, but it doesn't just have to be shooting. You could be a defender working on tackling, heading the ball away, that type of stuff. The fitness, I think, you know, you've always got to like work on your fitness side, and that'll come with the other side as well when you're doing your technical stuff. But yeah, I think another part of that is actually making sure you're hydrated, making sure you've like got a healthy, balanced diet, making sure you're carb loading to like 2 days before, 2 or 3 days before the trial. And I don't mean carb loading like carb loading in terms of eating um, processed food. I mean doing it carb loading like properly. So like you'd eat maybe 60 percent carbs, 40% protein. So you can periodize it to carb load. Some people might even go to a point of 70% carb based diet to then 30% protein. All depends which is best for you. The other thing is, in terms of the mental side, is your sleep patterns from your recovery, from your training, what you've been doing in the preparation for the trial, but also just making sure that is also a good habit. Not playing FIFA until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. The other thing is to also visualize what success looks like for you when playing, but also after the trial. So to do that, you can set clear goals, what your objectives are from the trial, what you want to get out of the trial. That can all go part of the mental preparation stage, and you don't just do that the night before. Um, a lot of players I noticed just think about it the night before. I think you have to do it in the days actually leading up to the trial. I think that's quite important. Another thing I've noticed, we've had it at our own trials, if I'm honest, is we'll have players who just come to the trials because they just see Chelsea or Next Gen, and they don't really. They think they like football. They do enjoy football. For me, there's a difference. In what I do is to do it as a career to earn money. A lot of people just do it because they enjoy it and they don't actually understand the actual process of what we do. So, what happens after that trial? What do they actually offer you? What what does that stage of development look like? You need to do your research on that club or a college program or university program, um, wherever it might be, to join and what their success looks like, what their pathways look like, how that can also develop you as a player. You need to earn the right to be there, but how once you've earned the right to be there, how can they support you with the guidance to the pathways to what you where you want to go, whether it's to club or beyond that club? That's a massive thing. I'd say what a lot of players don't currently do. The reason I'm laughing is this is probably one of the most basic things I see a lot of trialists not do. So and it's a pet hate of mine, by the way. Um, there's a few pet hates in the next this slide and the next one, but in terms of trials, um, I've, uh, normally when I can't speak for every club or every showcase or um, or in even fact the levels, but this is where I think you yourself need to prepare yourself as a player, no matter what trial you go to, at whatever level. So, an essentials checklist, you've got to have football boots, even if you're playing on an artificial surface, so 3G surface, 4G surface. Please don't wear trainers. Like, people tell me they want to become a professional footballer, etc., or work or do really well within football, and I see them turn up on an artificial surface in trainers. I just look at that and I'm astounded. My head sort of goes when it comes to that. So, and I'm not the only coach or manager who actually thinks that either, especially if depending on what level of the game you want to go to. So, my preference, I like trials and training and stuff on grass if that could be done. But I know a lot of these things now are done on artificial pitches, and I am a person who does have to have an artificial pitch as well. But that's no excuse to bring trainers in terms of to play in, even if they're suitable to play football. Please wear molds. So bring appropriate footwear for the surface. And if you are playing on grass, don't just bring one pair of boots. If you've got two pairs of boots, so one molded or like one hard ground um, sort of boots and one soft ground, it's better to bring both. Bring a pair of shin pads. Some clubs will especially want you to wear shin pads in training or trial day. They will require that. Bring your own water bottle. I know like our trials we provide all that type of stuff, but in terms of yourself, you have to be prepared because you want to be hydrated before, during, and after. So it's always good to bring your own. The other thing is just bring some snacks with you. So in terms of like it could be something small like bananas, apples, energy bars, electrolytes, but don't overeat. But you need to think about as I said, the preparation leading up as you enter the trial, but also the recovery from when you finish the trial, especially for you serious players. The other thing is appropriate training kit and a spare pair of clothes. So I'll go to some trials. I hate to dig people out, and it's not like you guys are ever going to know who these people are. But we held a trial the other day, and so the other day is about 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago. One trial day we had 80 odd people. The other trial day we had, I think it was about 50, 60 people. The when bear in mind they get emails on this. In terms of like the actual training kit, I'm not saying of say like the Chelsea trial with us. They don't have to wear Chelsea kit. We don't provide kit. Um, we just want them to wear. It could be the club training kit they wear or stuff they would wear um, during like a training session. It's just some people I've noticed other people wearing odd matched socks. Um, I've noticed people wear swimming shorts on a trial or shorts what are not suitable. Little stuff like that. Um, are just it just doesn't go down too well. So you need if you want to become a professional and you want to set yourself up for a good impression, think about what a professional footballer wears, what they look like. Um, you need to dress exactly like that because you've got people like myself, and I will quite openly say I can be judgmental. Like I will look at you and I'll be like, he's not serious. Why is he wearing swimming shorts or odd socks for a trial day? That's not right. Um, you've got to look like or a t-shirt which is maybe inappropriate or a t-shirt with cartoons on it. Believe it or not, I've actually seen all this before, and I'm not saying these players are bad players either. Some of them are actually quite good. I've actually got a player who actually turned pro, and that's how he used to sort of dress. And he was a very like street-based footballer. He just didn't know the standards to come in, and we took him based on he was very talented and he had to adapt very, very quickly. But it was our job to obviously coach that into him as well. And then when he saw it and understood it, guess what? He helped us out on trial days, and we used to say, "This person, this player here, he's quite good, but look what he's like. Look at how he's dressed." And he goes, "Yeah, I won't be having that." And I said, "Well, that's what you used to be like." So I said, "You can be judgmental, but at the same time, you just as a coach, you still got to be open minded. Can you still take that player on, and can you make them change?" Um, on the trial day, so you've hit the trial day now. You've had all the prep. Um, you arrive. Punctuality and timekeeping is crucial. Now, in this setting, it is um, frowned upon, just like it is in normal employment, if I'm honest, to be late. If you're late in a professional football club, I'm sure you've all seen the fine system on social media and stuff. Different clubs have different fine systems. At my club at Chesham, for example, if you're late for a training session, I think the training session one is a £40 fine. And if you're late for a match day, that's £150 fine. Now, there's no excuse in that. You have to be there on time. Even if you text way in advance that you're going to be late, it doesn't matter. You have to be there. It's the same in the professional club now. I'm sorry, I'm looking at some of the players on the screen. If they're late for a training session, it's probably going to be in around the thousands. Um, a match day, it's going to be in the thousands. It's not going to be in the hundreds. So, you need to think they might earn a lot of money, but they can also waste a lot of money if the code of conduct is not met. If it's not met. So yeah, I'd always advise to come in 20, 30 minutes early, get yourself dressed, introduce yourself to the coaches and other players, and the first impression matters. So show confidence, but stay humble. As I said earlier, don't be cocky. Like, there is a difference in terms of being confident. Um, Shake the coach's hand, introduce yourself. Okay, say your name, what position you play, how are you? Like, look, they're humans. Everyone else around you, they're humans as well. Everyone has feelings, so try and get to know the people around you. Um, Being like attentive, like during instruction, so be engaged. Okay, so when you're being coached, whether it's the warm up, whether it's the main technical, whatever the trial looks like, the game, you've got to show that you're engaged within their talk. I'm not saying you have to answer every question, but you want to understand, and if you don't understand, have the confidence to ask a question, even if it's not in front of the group. Ask the question when the coach is by himself. But in terms of the actual game itself, it's easy for trialists to like overcomplicate things, but it's always important to play your natural game and be adaptable to the coach's tactics at all time, because that's what they're looking for. Always communicate effectively with your teammates, as we said, in front of you, to side of you, and behind you. So, as I said, know their names. Try and get to know them, even in the dressing room. Just ask them what their names are, where do they come from, who they play for, um, little things like that. And then just go work yourself into it, and then go, okay, so like, what foot are you? And not when you play, what do you prefer? When you get past the ball, what do you prefer? Little questions like that. It's always good. And do you know what? They're more likely to help you in return. All of a sudden, you've set positive um, you've set up like a positive environment around you, um, to what you're going to be playing in, especially with players who you don't even know. And when things go wrong, you're more likely to get over it a little bit quicker, and they're more likely to help you out. The other thing is just staying composed under pressure, and just making sure that there will be mistakes. Whether it's a team mistake, you're going to be making mistakes. How quickly can you rectify 'em? So just going on the do's and don'ts. I always put Balotelli on stuff like this because very talented player, um, and he gets himself into a lot of the don't side, if I'm honest. But in terms of dues, yeah. So obviously, always showcase your strengths, but don't be selfish. You've got to contribute towards a team because that's what the coaches and the scouts are going to be looking for. Be respectful to everyone in and around you. So always stay positive, but also after mistakes. If you let in a goal, don't punch the ground or like start having a go at people. People, lift them with confidence because if you're going to grill them, it's not going to do them any favors. I'm not saying you have to accept them. That is a mistake. A mistake is a mistake, but you have to be able to get over the barrier as not just an individual but as a team. And if you can take that leadership role of getting others over that barrier, that also goes a long way. But in terms of yourself, if you lose possession of the ball, work hard for 3 to 5 seconds to regain the ball back. That's your mission. Work 3 to 5 seconds to regain it back. And if you can't regain it back, regain the space back. So someone else might have thankfully covered you, but as they've gone to cover you, can you cover them? So just remember that. So, you know, and you're going to have to do that to other people. Other people might make a mistake, so you're going to have to cover them as well. In terms of the don'ts, um, as we said, avoid overplaying and being selfish with the ball. I'll be honest, it comes down to a lot of decision making, and it's fine making mistakes, but if you're making mistake upon mistake upon mistake from being selfish, that's obviously down to your bad decision making. So make sure, I'm not saying don't take any risks, you need to take calculated risks. Don't argue with teammates and coaches or officials. Massive, massive this is. So if, as I said, if other someone else makes a mistake, don't argue with them. Try and lift them back up. Don't go against don't question or go against the coaches at all. And in terms of the officials, just like we as players and coaches, always remain professional. Um, if you've, it's my pet hate anyway. Even with my own, not just trialists, in terms of my own players, I hate it when they blame the officials because you've done a mistake in some capacity, even if you're right, to make that official's mind to give them a foul, for example, rather than controlling the situation. That's a mistake. So technically, that's down on you, and I think it's a sign of weakness if you're always one of these players complaining to officials, to the coaches, to your teammates. You then need to reflect upon yourself if you're the one always complaining and everyone else is in the wrong. Because if you're blaming everyone else and you're consistently doing it, you probably notice it's actually you're the one who's making those mistakes, nobody else. And the other thing is, don't dwell on mistakes. Messi, Ronaldo, whoever, whatever player it might be in the world, they're making loads of mistakes every single day in training, in all the games. That's how they develop. That's how they improve. So don't dwell on the mistakes because you've taken a risk and it hasn't paid off. Don't kick yourself about it. Recover it in the 3 to 5 seconds if you can, whether it's the ball or the space, and then you like decide after that's been done. If I was to do that next time, how can I do better? How could I beat that man next time? Was it the right decision to take a shot or not? Or was it a better decision to play someone through? Now, those questions um, are things you have to review very quickly in a game. And also, how do you put that right in a game? How do you practically do it? So, they're decisions you have to make. In terms of after the trial, obviously different clubs showcase they all work obviously a lot differently. So first of all, evaluate yourself. You can do it. I wouldn't say straight after the trial. When you get home, I personally wouldn't. My personal advice to any players is actually to sleep on it first to take the emotion out of it a little bit. So you did reflect on your performance that way. always always identify the areas of improvement. So that is the first thing you look at. Even if you've had a very good trial and you feel like you've had a good trial, still reflect on the improvements which can be made. To be able to follow it up, give it 24 hours. If you haven't heard anything within 48 hours, send just a polite email or message just thanking the organisers for the trial, and you know, see if there's a follow up in terms of any next movement, or they might have told you, when you get the feedback anyway, whatever that looks like. But no matter what the follow up looks like, even if they get back to you first, and it's not something you want to hear, football's a small um, world in a way. Everyone sort of knows everyone. Always be polite. So even if you didn't get through or whatever, still thank them for the opportunity. Stay polite. You might be able to ask them what you need to improve on. They might not be able to get back to you though because of the sheer volume. Um, but look, you might be fortunate enough where they might give you feedback to then go away and then practice and then come back to a trial in the future. So just if even if you wasn't to, you know, get through, I think being polite and having manners can actually take you further as well. The other thing is just staying persistent. Remember, the trials are always opportunities, okay, and that's at every level. But there's no guarantees in the trial, so you need to think if it's a showcase, what scouts are coming to watch you. Do you fit into the playing style of that club for that age group within their position? But if it's for a club, exactly the same, just based on within the one club. But you've always got to keep improving and keep on going and just attending more trials because, as I said, they're just all opportunities. You just never know who's looking. If you suit them, it might be a trial which you think, do you know what? I'm just going to this trial just for the sake of it. You've done your research. You sort of understand that this is something you like to pursue if it could go further. But yeah, you just need to make sure you've done your research, but always go for the opportunities. The one thing, though, I would say is don't be a player who, when you're in a club, especially when you're at a half decent level, is just carry on, keep going to other trials when you're already guaranteed in a club. Try and commit to that place because if you're one of these players who's going trial to trial every 5 minutes, you'll notice you won't actually secure anything, and you even this club you have got secure, you always know your ability and your sort of standards for that club are always negative um, because you're always looking for something better, which I do appreciate. But sometimes, if you're good enough, those opportunities naturally come to you anyway. These are just some of the common questions we sort of get, if I'm honest. Um, And so, like, the first one being, like, what if I don't perform well? So the answer to that would be, like, it's every trial is just a new experience and a learning experience. And that's why you need to review your trial to then go on to the next one or how to improve within your current team, especially if you've gone to a trial where you know it's in a league above you or a complete different level above you from like grassroots to professional, for example. It's all a learning experience. I've been to trials in the past and I've not got in when I was younger, and that can hurt. That can hurt, and you have to review it to why you wasn't good enough. And sometimes on some of them, the ones I didn't get in, I had a good trial, but I still knew I wasn't good enough. And you've got to be honest with yourself, but it doesn't mean that's the end because you need to think, okay, if I'm not good enough, why am I not good enough, and what can I do to be good enough? So you've got to think positive. The next question, I get this a lot. Should I play a specific position? Now, One thing I do is another pet hate, unfortunately. Um, if I get a player and I ask them I ask them a question, what position do you play? And they go, do you know what, Lee? I play right wing, left wing, striker, 10. You just give me four positions. I'm only interested in what's going to be your best position. So if I'm a manager or a coach, on a scout will be the same. They don't mind a secondary position, but the first thing they want to know is what is the best position you want to be judged upon for your best strengths. So that's how they're going to judge you. Um, don't go down the route of putting four, five, six positions, which I've seen other players every time. A lot of managers and coaches won't like that. Be be true to your position, even if it's a position which you go, do you know what? I'm not actually the best at it, but I want to focus on it. Or you could be one of these players. I had to do this later on. Was I had to play a position I didn't want to play, but my strengths were really good there, and I played higher, playing a position I didn't want to play because that's where that's where they were. So sometimes that's a wise move. So you might not play where, for example, when I was growing up, you had people like Ronaldo, um, striker Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, was like one of my favorite players, and like David Beckham. But I never played as a striker, and I never played actually as a winger. So, but I'd copy a lot of attributes they had. But I was actually a centre midfielder. But I was quite fortunate because my other role model was Zinedine Zidane. So not a bad player at all, and one of the world's best at that time or ever. So yeah, it's how you can manipulate it so whatever's best for you. And last of all is how do I stand out? This is an interesting one because when I say be vocal, I mean positive. Be positive when you're being vocal. So you're showing leadership through being positive and giving and doing it consistently. So I'm not just saying like I know some players would talk for the matter of just talking, but it's actually the detail of information you're coming out with. So if you're instructing something, just think about the detail you're saying it in. Don't just say stuff for the sake of saying it and just to look to be heard. Another pet hate of mine is players shouting stuff at other players for the bench and the coaches to be made aware of. Just don't be one of those people. Like just be vocal in the right way, and you're not doing it to impress coaches. You're actually doing it to actually do it for the benefit of the team, and you're doing it to the benefit of players around you, but to also benefit yourself because that would be the more of a benefiting outcome. So, just before we go into the questions, and we'll have a bit of time for that, just a bit of a takeaway. So, for yourself, you now know from this presentation, preparation is key. You're going to have to focus in that stage and focus when you arrive, when you're performing, being adaptable, and hopefully you'll get some positive news and that will get you to the success which you deserve. But look, it doesn't always happen. So, you've got to stay motivated. Um, every trial you don't succeed in, you have to review the reason why. If you can then take that on board, it will only make you stronger. So, it's like when you're developing in a training session or in a game. I think we can all be honest, you can't have the perfect training session and game all the time. It doesn't exist. And if it did, you're not being challenged enough. So you always have to like try and push yourself. It's the same when you're going with trials. Get over the barrier of that negative mindset and get over the setback because you can still push forward no matter what. Um, if you're if you're on social media, these are my social medias. Um, in terms of like who I work for and stuff on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to follow them in terms of what I do for a day to day, how they work, um, they give you sort of quite a good insight of what it's like. But no, for now, for the last 15 minutes, it'd be good for you guys to ask some questions if you've got any, and whether you want to say them out or type it in the box in the text box, and I'll answer them for you. And anything you want me to go back on the slides and take pictures of, feel free to ask that as well.
Thank you, Lee. Brilliant session as ever. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As Lee said, everyone, feel free. Now's your chance to ask some questions, either in the chat box or just unmute yourself and start talking when you're ready.
If it's the same Geordie, you've got to have a question.
There's one just in the chat box there. There's a couple come through now already. If you can just scroll
Coming
down.
through. Oh yeah.
There's two. I think there's one above that one as well. There's two.
So Ivan, I'm going to start with yours. How do I find football trials interesting? So there's so many different ways, and you were talking about different levels here. So I'm gonna there's showcases which are done in terms of you can just Google them. I'll be honest with you, even signing up for stuff like the Train Effective camps, going on the camps. I coaching them myself, and they've been very successful in terms of players coming in. They come in for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I've always enjoyed both, and they come in, they develop as a player, and then some of them from the showcase games, which Train Effective host. There's players who get picked up, and I'll be honest with you, I've picked up 3 players myself from Train Effective, possibly 4, who have even come on to myself as part of Chelsea to progress as a footballer, both on the pitch and off the pitch. But that's one way. Another way could be going online, looking for local clubs. You, depending what time of the season it is as well, if it's like club wise, it's you're going to get more of your trials at the end of the season. So and in the off season, and a little bit of pre-season, they're your best times. Anything in the middle of the season is quite challenging and quite hard. So, for you, Ivan, my advice is wait till the end of the season or off season or pre-season to go in for trials, and you'll naturally see them advertised, especially on social media. And I even know the guys that I think it's called PF Trials. So PF Trials on I think they're on Instagram or something. And they have all different trials with all different levels, grassroots, everything really. So yeah. As for yours, Jordan, to answer yours, should you insist on playing your position when there's several players? 100%, Geordie. So you should still insist to play your position. Make that aware to the manager, the coach, whoever's running it. Go like, look, my actual position's this. This is what I'll do if I was you. Think of your secondary position if you've got one, and go like, look, this is my best position in there here, but I don't mind adapting if you're having this issue. Saying go and play this position instead. But do ask them, could I have a period of time in return playing my actual position um, to be judged upon that as well? Um, how do you stay calm in matches? There's different techniques for that, and there's probably different situations which occur. So, in terms of if results are going your if it's actually easier for me if it's the results aren't going your way in terms of the result isn't going your way, you're losing. If you're not maybe performing as well as what you think you normally do, which is actually normal in a trial, by the way. It's very rare you see actual trialists perform at their full capability, especially in showcases. That's difficult. Um, the way to stay calm is actually to go back to the basics. You need to put it on your performance. I'll give an example. I used to even suffer from anxieties into going into matches. So my personal thing to stay calm was I wanted possession of the ball straight away from kickoff, but I just wanted to make a pass which was successful quickly as possible to get me over the nerves and stay more calm. In terms of staying calm throughout the 90 minutes, look, football's emotional. So it's like you've got to be able to control those emotions. But sometimes being too calm can actually be a negative effect because then it sort of shows lack of care. But you might then misjudge decisions from that as well. So hopefully that answers it for you. No. So I'm just going back to yours, Jordy. On the fullback side, play 1-2 touch most of the time. What does dribbling specific? So in terms of the dribbling, um, especially if you're a fullback, I think we both know that you're going to have to be confident in 1v1 situations. And then I'll be honest with you, the entire game, doesn't matter what position anyone here plays, the whole game is actually broken into 1v1s in your actual area. So everyone on this call, not just for you, Geordie, but everyone has to be good at 1v1s and confident because you're always going to have opposition pressing you high, no matter where you're on the pitch. But you have to control the area and the zone of your 1v1. You have to dominate it. So, in terms of self, you might be, yes, a 1-2 touch player, try and bounce and receive the other side. That's brilliant. And doing third man runs, etc. I'm all for that. But you still have to be confident on the ball. You can practice 1v1 just with one person in front of you down at a park, trying to beat the player and then play it into a goal or play into a space, whatever it might be, or cross over a line when you're dribbling. Also, on the dribbling side, especially if you're a fullback, can you do a 1v1 and then cross a ball? Um, so it's just adding stuff, not just the 1v1, but the end product after the 1v1 when you're dribbling. But when you're training it, it's loads of repetition. Be comfortable off both feet if you can. Be looking to dribble within but on both feet, using a variety of skills. My thing is don't be a one trick pony. So it's always good to have your trademark move in your 1v1s of how you beat a player, but don't become predictable and always get a second or third skill which you can also rely on. So yeah, you're not becoming predictable, in your case, the winger um, or striker pressing you. So you can still beat their winger or their fullback with a variety of moves. Any other questions, guys?
Are we all done for questions? I'm just going to give you a few seconds if you want to type any last thoughts. There's one more. There's one more just come up there, actually, Lee.
Yeah, fine. Let's try to get shots. There we go. Okay, that's an interesting one in terms of struggling to get shots off every game and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you, it's all about the opportunity to get the shots off as well. So you're going to have to one make the correct runs. You're going to have to find the space, make the right runs, make sure the timing of the runs is correct as well. Otherwise, you'll be offside. So first of all, before shooting, you need to create the opportunity to shoot. You can't always put it on your teammates. If you're a striker or if you're a winger, so I don't know what position you play, or a centre mid, like an attacking midfielder. In terms of that, you have to create the situation for people to find you, but also create the situations for you to shoot as well before you even take the shot. Um, I'd say that's the main thing. Sometimes it's not about the amount of shots you've had; it's actually about the quality of shots you do. So don't just think, "Oh, shoot on sight, that's it," because the shot might not have actually been the right decision. It might actually been better to play the ball forward to someone else or out wide, or take someone on in a 1v1 then shoot. You need to, as I said, create that opportunity first. And then once you've got the opportunity, how quickly can you make a right decision to make an end product, whether that is the type of shot, the accuracy of the shot, or a cross, pass forward, might even be a pass back, it might even be to hold up play. Um, you can't just be reliant on consistently shooting. Um, there's so much more part of it in the attacking moments you have to sort of bring in. But look, if you are one of these players, and I do appreciate that you do want to get shots off, first of all, before you do that, you have to create the opportunity to shoot. Um, so for you, Nicholas, how should I be confident before a game or a trial? Um, Good question. So as I said earlier in the presentation, not to go in like cocky or anything like that. You come in confident in terms of firm handshakes to the coaches, the players, introducing yourself, being confident, um, and getting to know the people around you. Sometimes, unless asked, don't speak about where you are, where you've been, all that stuff, unless they've asked you. You ask them questions and ask them, who they currently playing for, all that type of stuff. All that actually is confidence. And in terms of confidence when you're playing in that training or match or on the trial day, is what confidence, what helps confidence, sorry, and some anxieties, funny enough, is actually visualizing on the morning of the trial, the evening before, and the day before that as well. So where you visualize everything going in, you feel confident within that environment, or you feel more confident and comfortable to adapt to that environment. Jordan, I know sleep is important, but sometimes there's a game late at night I want to watch. When is it okay to stay up to watch it? Um, yeah, I assume, Geordie, what you mean there is that you're probably watching a game in like maybe like a different time zone to you. I don't know, I might be wrong there. But in terms of that, it's you know, if it's a game in your own country, I would say you don't really want to be going. I know games won't be going on past 10 o'clock at night. Um, or I know the game will be finished by 10, so just make sure you're in bed by half 10. If it's a game abroad where I know I know you're actually probably watching them, to be honest. So, my advice is if you can't watch them live, can it be pre-recorded and then you watch it at a more suitable time? Because that's watching that game late at night could hinder your trial. For you, Nicholas, how should I get on the ball? How should I get on the ball? A lot. Sometimes I feel I'm not getting on the ball enough. Nicholas, a bit like the shooting thing, you need to be able to create the space. You need to be able to communicate with people around you as well, because you know, um, without finding a space first, people might not pass you because you've obviously got pressure on you. So you need to, vacate into space first, create the space, vacate into it, and communicate it at the same time. And you will notice the more regularly you do that, will you get the ball every time? No, but you're more likely to get more of the ball often if you're doing that.
Cool. Great answers again, Lee. Thanks so much for spending the time to stay on and do those extra answers. Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to end it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So Yeah, we'll catch you on another live session soon. Please remember that there's really good Black Friday offers on Train Effective right now, kind of across the board, across academy, across the camps, and yeah, especially the camps. And following this session about trials, it'd be great if you could take a look at the upcoming Train Effective camps that are coming up. It might be a great opportunity that can work for you. So yeah, we'll have a great weekend. Hope you play well if you have a game, and we'll catch you very soon. Thanks again, Lee.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Get yourself onto the camps. I'll be there myself.
Thanks
Take care,
again.
guys.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye.